What's up, weirdo? Shade Tree Surgeon here, and today we're talking about not even the legend, we're talking about the myth, the Yamaha VMAX. That V4 monstrosity, one motorcycle to rule them all. But honestly, what actually makes this thing so freaking special? And it is special, but maybe not for exactly the reasons you might think it is. The VMAX is one of those very special kind of bikes that's much more than the sum of its parts, though the sum of its parts is pretty dang high to begin with. First conceived in 1983 but not released till 1985, the VMAX was an assignment given to a young Yamaha designer named Akira Akari. The task was to design a motorcycle specifically for Americans, with there being no plans to release the bike anywhere else.
The new 145 horsepower VMAX from Yamaha is like no other motorcycle you've ever seen before. But you may have noticed that.
But more on that later. Let's get these not so boring specs out of the way. Powered by a double overhead camshaft 1200cc V4, the Max made an absolutely unheard of 145 horsepower in 1985. A 5-speed gearbox and a shaft drive, which was also rare at the time, took that power to what was then the widest rear tire that had ever been fitted to a production motorcycle.
Fantastic machine.
That thing, just your first initial impression is horsepower. It's just brute horsepower.
VMAX gonna take the whole show. It's like the 50s eras, the 60s, the GTOs, the 427s. It makes a statement for the guy riding.
The Max gets a harrowing reputation that is slightly undeserved for being a straight-line monster that handles like a drunk elephant and doesn't stop much better. In the early 80s, the 40mm front forks and 2-piston calipers were pretty much par for the course on any standard motorcycle. The problem was that 145 horsepower most definitely was not. Things happen real fast when you're pulling 10-second quarter miles and have 150-mile-an-hour top speed, and at the time there was almost no other bikes capable of doing that. Giving American motorcycle consumers the Yamaha VMAX was the equivalent of giving a tribe of Neanderthals AK-47s. It's definitely going to be fun to watch, but that's bound to get messy.
A microprocessor opens a special valve on the intake manifold. The increased intake gives V-Boost the feel of a supercharger and kicks out over 140 horses in the hottest rod around.
The real star is, of course, the V-Boost, which, while it has a very cool name, was definitely not a new invention. So, once again, why is the VMAX so special? The Yamaha VMAX gives the race of men the one thing it desires above all other things. Power, baby. But not just power, although there is plenty of that on tap. Power with a lot of character. There are more powerful bikes, surely, but the way that the VMAX comes alive, it has so much character, it's so individual. This is a bike that was built for Americans. So yeah, the VMAX is fast, but like I said, it's how it's fast that makes it special.
Now watch on your monitors the Christmas tree. As the lights go down and he hits green, he'll pop the clutch and take off. It's green, here we go! Shane Leeson, the Yamaha VMAX. Now on the bottom of your screen you can see the elapsed time counter. You will know just as soon as we do exactly the time that he achieved. He crosses the finish line. There's the time, look at that! He tied the record that he set at Valence only 1 week ago, 10.27 seconds flat.
The VMAX demonstrates such a complete understanding of what makes Americans tick, of what we want and what we like, that it almost crosses right back over into mechanical and void of emotion. It straddles that line of being so good, aimed so well at what we want, sometimes even when we don't know it, that it's almost too good. The VMAX really does exist in that uncanny valley of a product designed for America by somebody who isn't from America. The V-Boost concept isn't new, although it does have a really cool name. The concept is simple. Under 4,000 RPM, the 4-cylinder engine is operated by one carburetor feeding 2 cylinders, which is the standard recipe for a power curve that leans more towards low-end torque instead of high-end horsepower. After 4,000 RPM, the ignition activates an electronically controlled butterfly valve that brings the 3rd and 4th carbs into play. Now, you might be assuming that the engine is now operating with 1 carb per cylinder, with there being 4 cylinders and 4 for carbs, but that is not the case. Since the front and rear cylinders are on opposite strokes pulling from the same carb under 4,000 RPM, after the V-boost is activated, the Max is now cramming air and fuel from 2 carbs into 1 cylinder. Honda's used a similar 2-carb system on their single-cylinder dirt bikes for years, and of course 2 strokes on their power valves operate not quite on the same principle, but you know, they're kind of achieving the same thing. It's a simple trick, but the feeling it gives you when it kicks in is absolutely exhilarating. It feels as if you started riding a completely different bike. It feels wild, it feels dangerous, and I love it. Akira and his team, they could have evened it out. They could have tuned in a gradual butterfly opening and a smooth power delivery, but they didn't.
That's what excitement's all about,
There you go. That V-boost hook up real good?
Yeah, this thing is a handful.
Can you feel it coming in on it?
No doubt.
Yeah.
This bike was made raw and dangerous 100% on purpose. Akira claimed the initial inspiration for the VMAX came from witnessing a couple of 60s muscle cars in Louisiana drag race across a bridge over the Mississippi River in the middle of the night. What it must have been like for a young Japanese designer to immerse himself in the underground American street racing scene in the early 80s, I can't imagine. But I'd reckon that Akira's got himself some pretty wild stories. And that kind of dedication to really figuring out exactly what Americans loved. Not on paper, not what can be measured, but that secret love, that secret third thing, the umami, the one that can only be learned by doing. Akira's Hunter S. Thompson-esque gonzo approach to this assignment is why the VMAX is what it is. Akira didn't just make a bike that was fast, he made a bike that would inspire love. An imperfect machine that wears its flaws on its sleeves like a badge of honor because its strengths are so powerful, so bodacious, that the flaws only serve to highlight its strengths in contrast. That American thing, freedom above all else, despite its flaws, despite the repercussions, none of that matters, and in fact weathering those flaws, that just makes you love the freedom that much more. That is the American thing that Akira understood so well, and why he was able to make something that transcended the sum of its parts in such an enormous way that even 40 years later, it's spoken about in hushed tones. That is why the VMAX is special. Akira Akari went on to become the general manager of the Yamaha motor division back in Japan, but I'd like to think that he still has chrome-plated dreams of sketchy midnight runs at triple-digit speeds on the back roads of Louisiana. Dawn breaks, the Max roars. Each scar a fervent love song. A gift from the heart. Thanks for hanging out with me while we wax poetic about the beautiful love song to America that the VMAX is. I'm going to ask you to hang out with me for just a little bit longer because I'm going to tell you how this VMAX right here could be your VMAX. We are giving this VMAX away. It is cherry, 21,000 miles. We're raffling it off at $25 a ticket. But it's not just a raffle for the bike. It's also a raffle to win $250,000 or a house here in Florida. And it's not just a raffle for profit. It's not for profit at all. 100% of all those dollars are going directly to help Forgotten Angels fight to break the cycle of abuse in the foster care system. If you're familiar with the channel, you already know this. If you're new here because you wanted to learn about the VMAX, I'm about to tell you what's up. A lot of people don't know how bad the foster care system actually is. A lot of these kids that end up in the foster care system, they're coming out of houses where they've been mentally abused, physically abused, sexually abused. The stories that you hear would just absolutely turn your toes. You can't believe that somebody's parent would treat their child like this. And sometimes, unfortunately, after their family fails them, they're thrown into a horrendous foster care situation, which is a cash cow for the people running them. There's a lot of bad actors in the foster care system, a lot of good ones too. There's some great foster parents out there, but focused unfortunately on the bad ones today. Here in Florida, they're allowed to put up to 4 kids per room. They don't have to provide food. They don't have to provide TV, internet, and that might sound like unnecessary luxuries to you, but these kids have been through hell. So they shove them in a room, they collect about $1,000 a month. They can have a 3-bedroom house. You do the math on that one. They're just pumping them for money until they turn 18. 17, and on their 18th birthday, they literally throw them out on the street with a trash bag full of their belongings and make them homeless. And if that sounds melodramatic to you, I promise it is not. I am not exaggerating. You talk to so many people who've been through bad foster care homes, that's exactly how it happened. And at Forgotten Angels, that's where we step in. So many of these kids have never had their first chance at life. They never had a chance to succeed. They never even had a chance to fail. So that's what we're doing. We're giving them their first chance. We're giving them a home. We build them tiny homes. We teach them the skills they need and have to be a productive member of society. They get their credit fixed because most of the time their parents or bad acting foster care parents have taken out loans in their names and ruined their credit. We get them driver's license. They have to go to college. A lot of them join the military. Most of them also want to learn how to ride motorcycles and want to learn how to work on motorcycles as well. So that's also something we offer. It's basically a place for young men who have never gotten anything and never gotten taught how to be a man. I mean, some of them come not knowing how to tie their shoelaces at the age of 18. I'm not making that story up. They come to Forgotten Angels ready to be homeless. They come off a path where they're just on this direct path to be another poor soul addicted to drugs, living on a tent on the side of the road. And that's what we're trying to stop. If you want to stop homelessness in America, and it is a crisis, you got to start at the source. And something upwards of 70% of people on the streets who are homeless right now, at some point, were in the foster care system. I'm not taking a dime from this. Nobody is. It doesn't hit any branches on the way down. A $25 ticket to win this VMAX goes directly where it needs to go. And trust me, $25 can make a difference. So if you got an extra 25 bucks and you want a chance at winning the VMAX, that link's going to be down below. I'm going to have the link to the raffle creator, which will be the Dream House $250,000 prize. But so less than a week, we're going to pull the winner for this bike live, and we're going to haul it up to wherever you are. I mean, you can try to ride it home if you want, but this is not a touring bike. This is a Saturday night brawler. So we'll drop it off to you. The odds are pretty good for winning the VMAX right now, because in the time that we've been giving it away, we've only sold about 25 tickets. So right now there's a 1 in 25 chance of winning this motorcycle. Obviously, I hope it goes up a little more than that because we are doing this for charity. So links down below, go ahead and click it. I encourage you guys to learn more about Forgotten Angels if you don't already know about it. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. Hit subscribe. It helps out a lot. We have a lot of fun here. And if you're here all the time, what's up, bud? Nice to see you. Please share this video. Send it to somebody who's interested in VMAXs, and maybe they'll stick around here till the end and become interested in being a bad person doing good things. Till next time, y'all, get weird.
Crashing through the sky comes a fearful cry. Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. Armies of the night, evil taking flight. Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Panic spreading far and wide. Can the world oppose the deadliest of foes? Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. Who will risk it all to end the evil call of Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. They never give up, they never say die, walking tall with banners high. Shade Tree Army, a ruthless gang of scum, villains, freaks, and bikers determined to rule the world.